well, you didn't get the slamming, but you got the pick. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's definitely enough. I'm really just fine with the W. Even if I didn't get the pick, I'm just happy to beat them.
What's it like playing against somebody that's just that kind of superior athlete?
Um, it's just like any other game to me. Every team has athletes. Not every team has that athlete at quarterback, but like I said in the interviews last week, I just felt like our D line was, equipped enough to contain him. I mean, he still had a pretty good game, but for the most part, they did a pretty good job.
Defense saved the day again, just like the end of the Notre Dame game last year, the Louisville game last year. Is that as a defensive player, is that the way you like to see any game end?
I don't really have a certain way I like to see it end. It feels good to end like that. You know, just with all the pride and stuff we have in the defense. And just the years that I've been here, the offense has been talked about a lot. So now that the defense, is kind of holding their own, I wouldn't say doing any better than the offense because the offense is doing well too. But I feel like now we're holding our own. Now we can stand on our own 2 feet. It just feels good that the defense is getting a little more respect.
How much confidence do you draw as a team from a win like Saturday's?
We definitely get a lot of confidence from that, just because we had a lot of doubters before this game. And, we always knew we could do it. We went out there and we did it. So, just us proving to everyone that we could do it, that definitely gives us a lot of confidence going into the rest of the season.
As a senior, how do you now make sure the guys stay focused after a big win like that and keep the same approach the rest of the year?
I don't think that'd be hard at all just because of the culture and the things that Coach Sweeney instilled in us. It's always about the next game. He always says the season starts tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure that all the players buy into that. We celebrated that win that night, but the next day we were right on to Boston College. So,
which interception against Louisville was better for you? The one that iced the game last year, or I guess last year, or the diving catch you made out here Saturday?
I can't really choose one over the other. They were both big plays, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably say the one from last week, just because, all the hype and stuff that was around the game, and my first time starting against Louisville, it felt real good to get that interception.
What about the Hail Mary at Auburn? Does that even eclipse both of those interceptions for you?
Like I said, it's just hard to choose. I don't really know. I can't really put one play above the other.
Tell us what you saw in the pick. What happened?
Say that again?
Tell us how the play the pick went. What unfolded? How'd you end up with the pick? What did you see in his eyes?
I really was just reading his intention the whole way. As soon as he got the ball, he looked to that side, and I knew it was one-on-one coverage over there, so I knew he would probably trust his receiver over our corner. That's just what a lot of quarterbacks do if it's one-on-one coverage. They just try to throw the ball up there and hope their receiver make a play, and I kind of just anticipated it. As soon as I saw him let the ball go, I just went full speed over there and ended up with the ball in my hands.
As a defensive guy, how do you go from a game like Saturday night that was so loud, the crowd gave you such an advantage, going up to a place like Boston College, where the crowd not going to be anywhere near that? Is it hard for you to be as focused or tight each play that happens?
Nah, actually, I feel like it helps the defense a little more because we can communicate a little better out there. The fans, they definitely were a big advantage for us while we played this game last week. You obviously see that with the false start penalties that they got. That's big ups to the fans for that. But, it was a few times out there where it was hard for us to communicate, hard for us to get plays just because we couldn't hear one another. So, playing at a place that's a little quieter, that's a little better for the defense. I feel like it's a bigger advantage for us so we can communicate better and just tell the other players on the field what's going on.
Jadar, we had you in interviews a bunch, and you're real kind of soft-spoken, and you kind of set that up. Are you that soft-spoken when you're talking to Lamar Jackson in the end zone, especially early in the game?
Nah, I'm definitely a whole nother person on that field. I feel like it's just two different people. Like, when I step off that field, I'm just a shy, quiet person from Orangeburg, a little country boy. When I get on that field, man, I feel like the Hulk out there. I just feel like I can beat anybody on the field, and I just feel like it's a lot of competitive greatness in me, and I get that from my dad ever since I was little. He always instilled in me that, you know, it's good to be a competitor. You know, never be a quitter. Always fight as hard as you can. Just, you know, the small things like that. And I feel like it just translates when I get on the field.
Your slam dunk comment last week got a lot of notoriety, but you're just answering the question honestly, like any competitor should.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of attention from friends and family and acquaintances
Yeah,
about
well,
that?
my friends and stuff, they didn't really say much about it because they knew it was, you know, I really just gave a simple answer. I didn't really know what other answer to give to that. I'm not just going to let them hurdle me, you know. But I definitely got like a lot of backlash from the Louisville fans. Like they were hitting me up on social media, just going off like, "Oh, you think you're gonna slam them?" And you know, I just was like, I was just answering the question. I didn't really think it was nothing big like that. But yeah, it was mainly just the people on the outside who don't really know me as a person thinking I was being arrogant when I really wasn't. I was just answering the question.
Is it hard to see all those tweets and not even be able to respond or anything, just have to ignore it?
Nah, because I probably wouldn't have responded no way, you know, because a lot of people, they just don't know what they're talking about. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to kill the man or nothing. I was basically just saying I'm going to tackle him. You know, when you tackle somebody while they're in the air, that's basically a slam.
You've had some big plays already in your career. What does it feel like when you see a teammate like Edmund, a guy that's been working hard, gets his chance, to see him come up with what was essentially a game-saving play? How excited do you get for a guy like that?
Oh, I was very excited, man. You know, me and Marcus Edmond, we've been close since high school, you know, because we played each other in high school, ran against each other in track, went against each other in 7-on-7s, you know. And when I first got here, that's one of the guys that I was close to when I first got here, just because we're from the same area. So seeing him, you know, finally get a chance to go out there and show the world that he can play, you know, because a lot of us on the team, we always knew he could play. It was just the small things like his confidence. He needed to get his confidence up. And now that he's done that and he's out there playing, you know, I love to see it, man. You know, I just want to see all my teammates do good. You know, I treat those boys like brothers. So seeing him get out there and make a play like that, it almost felt like I made the play, you know. I couldn't have been any happier if that was me who made the play. And y'all know y'all seen how I tackled him after the play. Like, that was just all excitement for him because, you know, it just, I mean, it feels great just to see him get out there, man, because I know it's been times where he felt like, man, I ain't on the field yet. You know, I went through the same thing, so I know exactly how he feels. So I know he feels real good to get out there and finally be able to show people that he can play.
What does Friday night football mean to you? What did it mean when you were in high school? What does it mean now? As weird as it might seem to be playing a college game on Friday. What does that mean?
It reminds me a lot of high school, the Friday night lights, you know. But I don't think it's any different from playing on a Saturday. You know, we still get the same amount of days of practice. So it's not like we have any disadvantage, no advantage, you know. We don't really know what day it is when we go out there and play. We just play. So I don't care if it's a Friday, Saturday, Monday, Sunday, whatever day it is, we're going to go out there and play regardless.
Big plays have been kind of a question for your defense all year. You guys really haven't given up that many, even against Louisville. We never got over the top of you. I mean, as a safety, I'm sure that's a point of pride for you, right?
Yes, sir. It's definitely a point of pride. And, you know, it's really just a thing of having good communication on the field. And I can't stress that enough, that, you know, defense is basically just communication. You know, a lot of the big plays that we gave up last year, it was just because, you know, we wasn't talking enough. And, you know, Coach Sweeney and Coach Venables, Coach Reed, they stressing it a lot this year that we need to communicate more. So, I mean, if you ever been to a practice, you know, you just hear us out there talking, you know, the whole time before the ball is snapped, just the whole pre-snap. You know, everybody on the defense is talking, calling out what they see, even if it's just, you know, a small thing like calling out a certain number at a certain position, you know, and it gives a heads up to the players around you so they can know what's going on. So even if someone does mess up, you know, somebody else might have heard something that you didn't hear, and instead of giving up a 60 or a 70-yard touchdown, we can kind of limit that to probably like a 25 or 30-yard play. So, you know, it's not that we are any better than the defense from last year. I just feel like communication is the thing.
One big big play y'all did give up the other night was when number 18 got behind the defense, set up their first big touchdown. What happened there? Was it a miscommunication or just a bad read by someone in the back?
Nah, it was just something foreign to us. We hadn't seen them run that play before, out of that formation. So it was just, something different, something we didn't practice on. That's something new that they threw in there. So it kind of caught us off guard. But, right after that, we went to the sideline and got it drawn up and seen what we needed to do. Just in case they ran it again, we would know what to do. But that's basically what it was. It was just something that we hadn't seen before.
All good? Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.